Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Global Business Update with TA. This year at the Thanksgiving table looks like there will be an unwanted visitor. His name? Inflation. That's right. Food prices have soared more than 30%, and from wheat to soybeans to every food item you could think of is on the rise, mainly due to supply chain crunches, poor agriculture conditions and even high demand. Now, as the world is emerging out of the pandemic and some of the consumption patterns are resuming, the world is in shock in terms of a supply shock on how they are going to supply to this amidst all these factors. So get ready for a very expensive season. Meanwhile, good news from Zimbabwe. Well, after years, in fact decades of mismanagement by Robert Mugabe and his regime, where a lot of the white farmers, the landowners, were actually chased away from the country, looks like with many of them returning back, there is some hope for the agriculture sector. Having one of the most fertile lands of Africa, the agriculture output has been very poor, but now starting from new crops such as blueberries and going all the way up to the usual traditional production such as tobacco, the output is at an all-time high. In fact, 75% increase in some of the output of certain crops such as tobacco is seeing them having a rebound. For how long will this continue? Only time will tell, because there is a lot of catching up to do. More news from the scenario of COP, the Conference of Parties 26. In fact, there will be a full episode coming on that later on. But the climate conference has seen world leaders coming into agreements. Somewhat of disappointment from countries such as US and China. Some of the biggest polluters in the world had almost nothing new to offer. One of the big surprises were in fact India promising to go net zero by 2070. Is it just worthless words or actionable plan? Well, only time will tell. But some of the countries such as Bhutan showing signs, promising signs of going neutral in terms of emissions by 2045, and even Vietnam planning to go carbon neutral by 2050 is showing that the countries are starting to take this seriously. But action is needed on this matter, not just words. The electronic vehicle market globally is growing at more than 20%, and in some parts like China it's almost growing at 50% and beyond. And looks like there are new players entering this, including Foxconn. That's right, the popular iPhone accessory supplier, the component supplier, has mentioned their plans to venture into electronic vehicles market and set up factories in Asia and Europe by 2024. And another twist in this electronic vehicles market is the fact that a lot of vintage vehicle models and designs are being now looked at as a way of further giving a boost to the electronic vehicles market. The question is being asked, how can we give some of these vintage vehicle designs an electronic vehicle model to it? And in fact, multiple different plans and ways of growth for this market could see a real boom in this. In fact, maybe the next big opportunity for businesses. Saudi Aramco had some good news to share in terms of the fossil fuel profits. A $30 billion net cash flow simply showed that profits were on the rise, especially due to the rising demand and high prices due to scarcity. In fact, they had also declared profits worth $18 billion. But for how long is this going to stay, and with more countries pledging to go fossil fuel free, does Saudi Aramco and Saudi Arabia in general and the Middle East have an alternative backup plan? Only time would tell. Amul and Mother Dairy are in fact some of the Indian companies tied to the dairy industry which are struggling with a growing demand for plant-based milk. Many celebrities in India, including the Bollywood stars such as Amir Khan and the cricket stars such as Virat Kohli, have shown their interest in a animal life-based products free living style or lifestyle, or in other words, the vegan way of life. And in fact, some of the recent World Vegan Day had shown how much of demand was there for vegan products even in India. And with 50 to 60% of Indians showing some kind of lactose intolerance, there is all the more impetus and the drive to go and really adopt these plant-based milk such as soy milk and so on, almond milk and etc. But for how long will this trend continue is yet to be seen, although the signs are promising. Amul and some of the other dairy companies are beginning to question whether the plant-based milk is actually as healthy as the dairy products coming from the animals. It's an interesting tussle. Remember, it's a market where the dairy consumption is extremely high, and Amul so far and some of the other dairy companies in India have been enjoying hefty profits, but it is being challenged with this new weakened trend. And on a final note, well, the Afghan government, led by the Taliban, has decided to stop accepting dollars as a way of payment. Now, this creates a massive problem because more than half of the loans of the country and most of the deposits of the national banks of the country are actually in dollars. The Afghani, the currency of Afghanistan, is hovering around 91.03 per USD, still better than the Sri Lankan rupee, right? Nevertheless, they are now facing a situation where the acceptance of the dollar has been banned and legal repercussions have been promised if anyone is caught using the dollars and foreign currency, and they are hoping that this will lead to more usage of the Afghan currency and a better place of the Afghan currency. And the Central Bank of Afghanistan has doubled up the withdrawal levels for the currency deposits as well for the Afghanistan nationals. That's it for this week, and no matter what business you may be in, have a profitable week ahead.